It's the mindset of handling objections.
Awesome.
Rod doesn't know I'm going to do this.
Oh,
Yeah. He's
that's a
like,
great
oh,
picture. Look at that
what is
picture.
this?
That guy's handsome.
It's Rod Moser, the broker owner. He's one of the most recognized and respected names in Utah real estate. Rod has coached and trained agents from all over the country and into Canada, working for top coaches like Bill Pipes, John Sheplack, and Tom Ferry. He also managed local Utah agents at Next Home Navigator, Keller Williams, and Century 21. We're lucky to learn from Rod today. This video was created during our sales meeting.
That's sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey guys, so a couple of things, right? Number one, if you guys know me, you know a couple of things. I suck at paperwork. I'm a good salesperson, but I've figured out how to hire amazing people around me. I would have never been able to put something like that together. So thank you, babe. That was really sweet.
Thank you.
And it's not how good you are. In fact, most people, when they try and be a jack of all trades, they master none. And the key is being, in my case, dumb enough, but to find people that are smarter than you to surround yourself with to make you look even better than you are. So awesome. A mindset of handling objections.
Yes.
All right, you guys. So I'm talking to a lot of agents, as you can imagine. I'm talking to agents in Utah. I'm talking to agents in California. I'm talking to agents in New York. Here is the general theme. Guys, it's not just you guys that are discouraged and a little down about what is going on in the market as a whole. What we're experiencing is not unique to us. As a matter of fact, if you guys looked at some of the news stories from last year, Utah, or from last month, Utah is the hottest real estate market in the country. It's worse everywhere else. So, but I also recognize, guys, that we're all a little bit discouraged. We're putting in a ton of effort. We're learning new skills. We're figuring it all out. The industry is in a little bit of turmoil, right? Like there's a lot of crazy, like, hey, it's drama filled real estate industry. It's always this way. So if you guys are feeling a little bit discouraged or a little bit down, I want you to know, first of all, you're not alone. It's happening nationwide, and in a lot of cases, it's happening in multiple countries. Here's what I want you to think about, guys. This is the greatest opportunity of your real estate careers, including mine. And I've been selling for a long time, to capture market share and to separate yourself from the herd. Is it going to be easy? Yeah. Are you going to have down days? 100%. But when I say, is it going to be easy? Here's what I want you to think about. All of the stuff that makes prospecting hard, all of the stuff that makes our industry hard, are the stories that we're telling ourselves in our own minds. And if you change the story, you change your emotion and you change your outcome. So change the story, you can change your emotion, and you can change your outcome. So the first thing I wanted to do is just talk about objections. When you get an objection, you guys, most real estate agents, most people, when they face some resistance, they start to get discouraged. They start to get nervous. They start to trip over their words. I want you to look at an objection as a rung to a ladder that is going to get you to the closing, to the outcome that you want. If you don't have any objections, you are never going to get them to sign anything. You're never going to get a close. Objections are the key. They're the most important thing as a salesperson that you can get because it provides you a rung on a ladder. When I go to present something and I'm talking to people and they're sitting back, kind of just soaking it all in, as good as of an observer as I am, I'm not getting enough feedback to know whether what I'm saying is sinking in, whether it's effective, whether it's what they want to hear, or whether I'm just talking to a wall. And usually if they're not interacting and they're not challenging me on some things or asking some questions, I'm not going to be able to close them at the end. So the only way you're going to get to a close is to actually figure out what is going on inside their head. Objections are the best thing that can happen to you during a presentation, during a phone call, during any of that, because it's the only way you're going to get to a successful outcome. All right. So let's talk about how to approach handling an objection. So I'm going to give you guys 6 steps to handling an objection. These are things that have been around for a long time, and they've been around for a long time because they work. So the first thing, the most important thing is observation, listening actively to everything that's going on. Now, what do I mean here? Bree is absolutely skilled and brilliant at communicating with older people. We've watched this for, since she started with us years and years ago. She has an amazing talent to communicate at a high level with older people. Why is that? What creates her ability to communicate with a specific demographic? So, active listening, the most important thing we can do. And most of the time, they don't say what they're really thinking or feeling. So, we have to be so aware of everything that's going on in the conversation so that we can catch those subtle looking at their spouse. What does that mean? When you see somebody in a presentation and you deliver a point and all of a sudden, what does that mean? Body language and asking questions. So pay attention to those things. What it cued me to is that was important. The next thing that's going through my mind is how is it important? Did they tense up? Did I just say something that caused them to react in a negative way or a positive way? What just happened is important. Now, I'm going to throw this in there. It's not dealing with objections. In order for you to listen actively and to pay attention, you've got to get damn good at your scripts because you can't be thinking about what you need to say next. You have to be thinking about why was that important to them. You've got to be so dialed in that you know where you're going next without having to think about it. It's like when you're driving a car, when you're taking a shower. When you take a shower, does everybody but me look, I always start with my left arm before I move to my right arm, and then I go to my chest and stomach, and then I go to my back. I wash the same way every day. And you know what's going on? My head's working without working.
You
Same
mean
thing
you're
when
not
you
washing
drive
your
your
hair
car.
any
You have to think, oh, I need to
first?
step on the gas right now. I need to turn on the blinker. No, after we do it a minute, we figure all that out. It's all automatic. We're not thinking about it. That needs to be your level of presentation skill so that you can listen actively and pay attention to what's going on in their heads, because that is the difference, guys, in people that take a lot of listings and people that don't. Because if you're consciously in the levels, conscious incompetent, I'm aware that I don't really know what I'm doing. We want to get to that unconscious competent level, which is I don't need to think about it, but I know exactly what I'm saying. So there's a process. Show up to the scripts and dialogue meetings, know your presentation. All right. So paying attention, listening actively, that's step number 1. When they give you an objection, acknowledge the objection. Thank them for voicing their concern and repeat it in your own words to show that you heard it. The way that Mike Ferry used to teach this, I'm so excited you brought that up. I'm so excited you brought that up. Thank you. That's the first thing. So, what I'm hearing is this is a bit of a concern. Now, you can drill in. Then, step number 2, probe with open ended questions to fully comprehend their perspective. One mistake that I made for years and still make more often than I'd like to admit is that I diagnose or I prescribe before diagnosing. I come up with a solution when the beginning of the objection is just barely out of their mouths. And instead of going another step further and making sure I completely understand it, I start to solve the problem, and then I solve a problem that didn't exist. And I still have an objection that I haven't answered, so I'm not going to be able to close. I haven't stepped on that rung. So slow down. Gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up. So help me understand. This is what I heard. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the importance level of this making a decision for you on who to hire, where would you say this falls? Is this on a 1 or is this on a 10? Rod, this is pretty danged important. I would say it's a 7 or an 8. Okay, great. And is there anything besides this, whatever it is, a common objection? We're not quite ready to get your property sold, right? Guys, I'm really glad you brought that up. I'm really glad that you're actually, thinking about what it is that's important to you. Can I ask you a couple of questions around that? If it meant making more money by putting your house on the market sooner, or it meant less showings by preparing your property and getting it all the way ready and selling a little bit later. Would you prefer to have the convenience of fewer showings or more money in your pocket? You're just clarifying so that you know what kind of objection to answer. So probe with open-ended questions. The number three, validate their concern with empathy. Guys, if I were in your shoes, I would feel the exact same way. Rod, I'm a for sale by owner and I really don't want to hire a real estate agent. I don't think it's that complicated. And, how would you validate that concern with empathy? Guys, that makes perfect sense to me. If I were in your shoes and felt like I could save a few bucks and still be able to get the job done, I would likely make the exact same decision that you do. Now you can ask a couple of questions, right? I'm really glad you brought that up, guys, and I totally respect it, right? Let me ask you a question. If I could show you a way that I could actually make you more money and stop all those horrible phone calls from all the real estate agents in the valley, and I could not only help you get your property sold, but do it quicker and make you more money. If you could walk out a title with more money, would you prefer to still do it on your own so that you could say that I did it on my own? Or would you consider the possibility of hiring somebody if we could do it faster, stop the phone calls, give you your time back, and make you more money at the same time? I don't know how you're going to do that, but if you could pull that off, money is the most important thing to me. Okay, fair enough. And I want you to know I would never even ask you to consider hiring me unless you felt like hiring me was the best decision for you and your family moving forward. Does that sound fair? Now, I've made it safe for them. I've addressed it. I've respectfully said if I were in your shoes, I would feel the same way with empathy. All right. Number four, reframe with solutions. Now, you guys can attest to this because I get wordy sometimes. Long explanations always feel like you're convincing somebody of something or you're selling them something and people resist it. The more simple your objection handler, the more effective your handler will be. An example of this, reframing with a solution is exactly what I just did, right? With a for sale by owner who's like, gosh, I don't want to pay all those fees. Well, I don't blame you. I agree, right? And then I reframe it. What if I could actually net you more money? Meaning at the end of the day, when you walk out of title, if I could put more money in your pocket. Another one, gosh, you guys are really expensive. The 3.25% BAC, which is an objection you guys have in your minds before it even shows up. In most cases, the sellers don't even bat an eye at that one. So it's not really an objection, it's a strategy. But if that does come up, at the end of the day, what's most important to you? How much you pay me or how much you walk away with? Well, don't they go hand in hand? Most people believe they do. I'm going to share with you a couple of strategies that are going to be counterintuitive, but effective. At the end of the day, is it most important how much money you walk away with? Yes, it is. Okay, terrific. I want to create value for you, right? Like my job is to create value. If I just show up as a cost, you know, then I wouldn't hire me either. But if I can, through my strategies, and through my professionalism, if I can actually create value to not only cover my costs, but give you back a little bit more, isn't that what you would want a good salesperson to do? Number five, provide an example. Now, this goes back to a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar. Some of you guys may not be old enough to remember Zig, some of us are. Um, Provide an example. Zig used to tell this, actually, Zig and Tom Hopkins, they probably were coaching about the same time. They were competitors, but they would use the feel, felt, found. Have you guys heard about that? I completely understand how you feel. Other people have felt the exact same way, and this is what they found. Now, it doesn't come across exactly like that in today's world. Guys, I completely understand how you feel. It's very similar to what happened with me and Jesse Spencer. So Jesse is a buyer that we were working with, and he was super concerned about X. So you kind of make sure that they're like, oh yeah, That's me. That's exactly how I'm feeling, but you're putting it off on a third person. And here's the outcome. So tell a story. Stories get people to take action. It's an emotional thing. Emotions get people to take action. That's why we mix stories into our presentations. Stories create emotion. So we tell a story that is similar to what they dealt with. And then this was the outcome. And then we wrap it all up with, isn't that the outcome that you guys want as well? Isn't that what you guys are looking for too? And the final step, number 6, is confirm that you've actually addressed their concern. Does that answer that question for you? Are we on the same page? Terrific. Tie a bow around it so that that objection is now beneath you. It's the rung down, and now you're looking for the next objection, the next rung, the next rung, the next rung, right? So put that one behind you. Don't go back to it. Once you're done, put a bow on it. Confirm. Does that solve that problem for you? Now you don't have to answer that. So handle objections with patience. Slow down. Listen to them. Make sure you're diagnosing completely before prescribing a solution. Use empathy. Stop making them wrong. Guys, if I were in your shoes, I would feel the exact same way. That makes perfect sense for me, whatever it is. And then use a consultative approach, telling stories, bringing in some emotion, making sure that they're on the same page. And then this is what we found. I had a seller. Here's an example of a story. So years ago, my father-in-law, when I was married to a different lady, my father-in-law was selling his house. It was just as the market was starting to fall apart. And he wanted to price it above market value to leave room for negotiations. And he felt like, gosh, over the past several months, multiple houses have sold that weren't as nice as mine for more money because the market was depreciating. So in his mind, he's like, I watched those guys get 630,000 for their house, and you're telling me I can only get 605 for mine. I have a bigger lot, I have more square footage, I'm in a great neighborhood, and you're telling me I can get less money now. That was the concern that he had. So he priced it high. And after the house was on the market for 90 days, he fired me and hired somebody else. My father-in-law fired me and hired somebody else. They dropped the house $100,000 to get it sold below the number that I told him. Why? Because while he was resisting the market and the changes and what was going on, property values continued to decline at a pretty rapid pace. Now, that's a great story for today's world. Property values are declining, guys. I don't care what the news stories say. It's all supply and demand. The supply is up 17%. The demand's down 22%. If that continues, what do you think is going to happen to values? So the sooner you're able to make the tough decision on price, the more money I'm going to be able to keep in your pocket. Does that make sense? All right. Thanks, you guys.